It never fails when we get to talking about earnest money. People want to know, when can I get my earnest money back? Or if I can get my earnest money back. Now, if the deal goes through and the deal closes, that earnest money, of course, is going to be applied to your purchase. So do you get it back at that point? Technically, yes, it's applied to your purchase. But what if the deal goes awry, right? What if something goes wrong? Typically in a real estate transaction, when you make your offer, there's a couple of different contingencies on that purchase agreement. The inspection contingency is number one. And the second one, which gets a little bit more tricky when it comes to earnest money, is the financing contingency. So whether or not you can secure financing to purchase the home. For the inspection, typically if something goes wrong during the inspection and you decide to cancel the purchase agreement, typically you'll get your earnest money back. That's early on in the process, and there's no real hard feelings or emotions there. People kind of understand. Financing one gets a little bit more tricky, because typically that happens a little bit later on in the process, after appraisals, after underwriting and all that stuff. That's what typically takes that 30 to 45 days for a deal to close. And if sellers have been off the market during that time, losing marketing time, typically there's a little bit more emotions held up in there. And that gets a little bit tricky, and it must be in writing on the purchase agreement, because that's what rules everything, is what's in writing, just like everything in real estate. So on your purchase agreement, you can stipulate whether or not, if you can secure financing, your earnest money will be refunded to you as the buyer. You have to get that agreement up front on the purchase agreement between you and the seller. If not, it'll come down to the cancellation agreement if anything happens, and that becomes tricky. All right, so make sure you're paying attention to that, and make sure that's something that's agreed to up front. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out.